flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I move the bills, claims, and vouchers and statement of funds on hand as of February 29th, 2024, which includes bills from January 1st, 2024 through February 29th, 2024, be accepted as submitted.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. And we have several proclamations to read, so we are going to go out front and begin. You have noticed our fashionable attire this evening, and we will address that in our second proclamation. Are we calling anyone else? Come join us. I want to ride too. Sure. This is for Down syndrome. Go right ahead.
So I am lucky enough to be the Access Chair, and I met these lovelies at one of our sensory-friendly dinner. And we're going to be doing a whole host of events regarding access, and this proclamation is the first of many, including displaying some beautiful artwork. So I'm grateful to my friends who are here, and we're going to give this to you, Hope, after. Whereas Down syndrome, a condition in which a person has an extra 21st chromosome, also referred to as trisomy 21, annually affects about 6,000 babies in the United States and about 1 in every 700 births. And whereas Down syndrome is a lifelong condition with no known cause, resulting in a varying degree of intellectual and physical disabilities and associated medical issues. And whereas providing services early in life will often help babies and children with Down syndrome, their physical and intellectual abilities, and develop their full potential. And whereas people with Down syndrome have an inherent right to be accepted and included as valued and equal members of this community. And whereas the United Nations General Assembly declared March 21st World Down Syndrome Day in 2012 to raise global awareness of Down syndrome. And whereas this year's theme for World Down Syndrome Day is, quote, end the stereotypes, end quote, because stereotypes cause significant harm to the quality of life for people living with Down syndrome who are often denied quality health care, education, employment, and the basic right to have their voices heard and make decisions about their own lives. And whereas Ridgewood supports and celebrates the efforts and initiatives of organizations working to ensure people with Down syndrome have adequate services and are valued by society and can lead fulfilling and productive lives in our Ridgewood community. And whereas the date for World Down Syndrome Day, March 21st, is significant in its representation of triplication, trisomy of the 21st chromosome, and spearheading awareness about Down syndrome and promoting inclusiveness is the best way to celebrate. Now, therefore it be resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim March 21st, 2024 as World Down Syndrome Day in the Village of Ridgewood, New Jersey, and urges our residents to educate themselves about Down syndrome and commit to ending stereotypes that are so harmful to the Down syndrome community.
That was the highlight of the night. It's all downhill from here. But now comes the reason for our fashion statement. World Autism Awareness Day.
So it's so odd for me to be going first. It's normally Paul's. But again, as the Access Chair, I've been so lucky to partner with the autism community, and our firefighters and our police department are undergoing special training called Autism Shield, and they are raising funds by selling these beautiful T-shirts. Again, I felt very proud of them, and without questioning, I bought the full council and our staff, Heather, come on, Matt, everybody. They felt very weird about the T-shirt, especially the lawyers, who love the tie. So I want to thank everybody. I want to particularly thank our first responders who've been so wonderful in this. And Jamie is not here, so I'm going to give this to Elena, but thank you to Access too. So whereas autism, a neurodevelopmental lifelong condition which affects the way a person communicates and relates to people and the world around them, manifests during early childhood and currently affects 1 in 36 children in the United States. And whereas autism is defined by persistent differences in social communications and social interactions, repetitive patterns of behavior, interests or activities, which sometimes cause clinical significant impairment in social, occupational, or other areas of daily functioning. And whereas there is no known cause of autism, however, several potential factors are known, including genetic and environmental. And whereas autism exists on a spectrum, meaning each person's experience with autism in a different way, and the support they need can vary widely. And whereas autism is a type of neurodivergence, meaning a person's brain may process information differently than non-autistic or neurotypical people. And whereas autism has no cultural boundaries, existing in all cultures, ethnicities, races, and gender identities. And whereas in 2007, the United Nations General Assembly unanimously adopted a resolution declaring April 2nd World Autism Awareness Day to highlight the need to help improve the lives of children and adults with the condition so they can lead full and meaningful lives. And whereas autistic people continue to face obstacles when seeking employment, healthcare, education, and housing, and the immense contribution of autistic people are often overlooked. And whereas World Autism Awareness Day celebrates the achievements of neurodivergent people everywhere and champions for equal rights and the dignity of all those living on the autism spectrum. Now, therefore be resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim April 2nd, 2024 as World Autism Awareness Day in the Village of Ridgewood, and urges all our residents to learn more about autism, improve early diagnosis, and build more welcoming and inclusive communities to support autistic people.
And now I'd like to call up Rabbi David Fine and Imam Mahmoud Hamza. Rabbi Fine and Imam Hamza put themselves out there back in November when the conflict in the Middle East began to flare and violence erupted not just there, but here, from people who are passionate about the two sides that were warring thousands of miles away. And they stepped into the fray to say, let's not let the violence over there come over here. They are two friends who have been friends for 15 years, who are warriors for peace. And their bravery and courage is something that has moved me. And in fact, they will be holding a vigil for peace on Sunday, March 24th at the Emmanuel Baptist Church at 5 p.m. I urge all of you who have looked at what is going on in the Middle East with horror to attend and support them in trying to push our leaders to end this conflict. And so, whereas over the past 5 months, a devastating war continues to be waged in the Middle East, which has ignited tensions across the nation, and whereas 2 members of the Ridgewood interfaith community, Rabbi David Fine of Temple Israel and Imam Mahmoud Hamza of the Muslim Society of Ridgewood, who have been personal friends for many years, had several conversations about the tensions in the Middle East. They knew that they would not agree on all matters, but that they were united in key principles like respect for human rights, sorrow for innocent people suffering, condemnation of terrorism, and belief in self-determination for Israelis and Palestinians alike. They also wanted to denounce any acts of violence, Islamophobia, or anti-Semitism, or disrespect in the United States in the name of any cause. Whereas Rabbi Fine and Imam Hamza wanted to make a joint public statement that neither they nor the village of Ridgewood were going to be able to solve the crisis in the Middle East, and that they wanted to bring their respective communities together for a unified stance for peace and unity. Whereas on November 3rd, 2023, Rabbi Fine and Imam Hamza, as well as a small group of local officials, Christian clergy members, Asian American community leaders, and members of the Muslim and Jewish communities came together at Memorial Park at Van Ness Square, held hands, and listened to the joint public statement being read, which was followed by a moment of silence to remember the innocent lives lost during the conflict. This was followed by those in attendance signing the statement as a sign of solidarity. And whereas Rabbi Fine and Imam Hamza have proven that what unites all of us is much greater than what divides us, and that we all must continue to show empathy with each other within the Village of Ridgewood community. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood wishes to recognize and honor Rabbi David Fine and Imam Mahmoud Hamza for coming together during this difficult time to exemplify for the Village of Ridgewood and its residents that empathy, respect, and common decency can lead to cooperation and understanding even during the most difficult times.
It's a great blessing to be living in Ridgewood and to be a member of such a caring community. We are very grateful for our mayor and our council who are showing appreciation for our modest effort to maintain an environment of peace, compassion, understanding, and mutual respect within our village. If we look at what's happening in the Middle East, many of us will agree that it is beyond comprehension. It is unsettling, it is hurting, and it is very sad to say the least. Striving to be part of the solution, I was so happy to see a partner, my friend Rabbi Fine. Thank you, Rabbi, for working together to assert that our differences will not make us compromise our moral values, our respect for humanity, and our friendship. May peace prevail. May the mercy of the merciful be upon those who are suffering, and may we be the agents of peace. Thank you very, very much.
Amen. Thank you. They say that all politics is local politics. At times like this, I wish that were true, because I am so proud of our local politics here and our partnership and our friendship and our ability to work together and set a model. Hannah Arendt, the Jewish refugee from Nazi Germany and great political theorist, said in one of her most beautiful teachings, she said that the voting booth is entirely too small because it only has room for one person. And that for society to truly find redemption from the darkest moments of what darkest that humans can do is to find a way that we can see each other and speak with each other and build a community with each other. So I'm grateful again for my friend Imam and for all of you in this community for giving us the opportunity to do that.
Yes, I know. We didn't want them to fight about the one copy, so we are good. You want to get pictures? Sure. Pictures, everyone, with the council. And since we are here, we're going to go a little out of order. Ray, come on up. Here you go. Right over here. Ray and company. Who's going to hold the Bible for you? These two guys. Here we go. Ready? You guys got that? Hold it up. Hold it up a little higher. Good job. Will you repeat after me? I, Raymond Torino, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all of the duties of the office of Police Sergeant according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations. Congratulations, bud. Kate, my pleasure. You'd be wonderful. Congratulations. Thank you. Very nice. You got it. Very nice. Very nice. Yes. Now we're going back up there, and we're going to continue.
Oh, that was a little chilly, but I can leave it off.
And now we will continue with our meeting. And Pam, will you read the proclamation for the American Red Cross?
Yes, I will. Thank you. Whereas the American Red Cross was established in 1881 and chartered by Congress in 1905 to act in times of emergencies, and whereas the American Red Cross is one of the nation's oldest and most recognized humanitarian organizations spanning more than 140 years and spread across nearly 200 countries. And whereas the Red Cross, born of a desire to bring assistance without discrimination through its strong network of volunteers, donors, and partners, is always there in times of need. And whereas the American Red Cross aims to prevent and relieve suffering in its every action, the Red Cross shelters, feeds, and provides comfort to people affected by disasters. It supplies about 40% of the nation's blood, teaches skills that save lives, distributes humanitarian aid, and supports veterans, military members, and their families. And whereas in 1943, President Franklin D. Roosevelt issued the first Red Cross Month proclamation to honor local community heroes who helped to ensure their neighbors never face crisis alone. And whereas the Red Cross encourages everyone to join the annual celebration by giving blood, volunteering, or taking a life-saving skills course, now therefore be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim March 2024 as American Red Cross Month in the Village of Ridgewood.
Thank you, Pam. Lorraine?
Thank you. Whereas colorectal cancer is the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths in the United States, claiming more than 50,000 American lives each year, and is a major health concern for families in New Jersey and of all cancer deaths in people under 50. Colorectal is now number 1 in men and number 2 in women. And whereas colorectal cancer is preventable and treatable, and about 55% of colorectal cases and deaths could be attributed to modifiable risk factors, such as certain diets, physical inactivity, smoking and drinking alcohol. And whereas in February 2000, President Clinton designated March as National Colorectal Cancer Month to raise the profile of this disease and encourage screening. As many as a third of people who can are not being screened, allowing colorectal cancer a chance to grow and become more dangerous long before symptoms appear. And whereas the New Jersey Cancer Education and Early Detection Program, NJCEED program, provides comprehensive education, outreach, early detection, case management, screening, and follow-up in all 21 counties. And whereas New Jersey's statewide campaign to end colorectal cancer encourages individuals, organizations, and health professionals in New Jersey to collaborate and partner on screening and educational awareness initiatives, and whereas this campaign is being conducted through the NJCEED program in New Jersey Department of Health and Senior Services, with the overall mission of reducing the incidence and deaths of colorectal cancer, increasing colorectal cancer awareness and prevention behaviors, developing support partnership, and extending and reinforcing the core message for behavioral change. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim March 2024 as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month in the Village of Ridgewood, New Jersey, and urges our residents to educate themselves about and be screened for colorectal cancer.
Thanks, Lorraine. Evan?
Whereas Congress designated the third full week in March to be National Poison Prevention Week in 1961, and since then this week has helped to raise national awareness of the dangers and potential dangerous medicines, household products, and chemicals, environmental contaminants, and other substances. And whereas this year's theme is, when the unexpected happens, Poison Help is here for you 24/7. Whether you have general questions or an emergency, Poison Help is available at no cost to you. And whereas during National Poison Prevention Week, also signified by hashtag NPPW, poison centers across the country will focus the public's attention on the free life-saving services provided by poison centers, as well as educating the public on ways to prevent poisoning exposure. And whereas the New Jersey Poison Control Center, a division of the Department of Emergency Medicine at Rutgers, New Jersey Medical School, provided 24/7 expert medical treatment advice, drug information, and prevention education at no cost to the public through the Poison Help Hotline. Whereas the New Jersey Poison Control Center's services save healthcare dollars by eliminating thousands of unnecessary emergency room visits and result in shorter lengths of stay for patients hospitalized for poisoning. And whereas the New Jersey Poison Center is instrumental in the surveillance and management of poisoning exposures across the state, including the use, misuse, and abuse of medications, legal and illicit drugs, environmental contaminants, bioterrorism agents, and common household products and chemicals. And whereas the New Jersey Poison Control Center is involved in New Jersey's efforts in homeland defense, counterterrorism, emergency preparedness, pandemic response, and biosurveillance. And whereas today poisoning remains the leading cause of injury-related death in the U.S., more people die of poisoning every year than gun or car-related injuries. And whereas although most reported poison exposure involve children 5 years old and younger, most poisoning deaths occur in adults 20 to 59. And whereas overdose deaths from prescription opioids, over-the-counter medications, and illegal drugs remain at academic proportions for both New Jersey and the United States, while lead exposure and carbon monoxide poisoning remains major public health concerns. And whereas poison centers experts encourage the public not to guess, wait for symptoms, or waste time looking up medical treatments online, and then when potential poisoning exposure call occurs, call 1-800-222-1222, text 973-339-0702, or chat www.njpies.org. And whereas all residents should save the Poison Help hotline in their cell, home, and office phones, because a fast response can make all the difference in preventing serious injury and saving lives. Now for be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim March 17th through 23rd, 2024 as National Poison Prevention Week in New Jersey, and encourages all residents to pledge their commitment to ensuring the safety of themselves, their families, and their community.
Thanks, Evan. And with that, let's go to our public comment section of the evening. Seeing no one in the room, we will go to our hybrid access. Jeannie Johnson, you're up.
All comments are limited to 3 minutes per person.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can, Jeannie.
Okay, great. I appreciate you taking my call. It's Jeannie Johnson, 325 Maston Place. And like I said, I appreciate you taking my call. And I, too, would like to extend my thanks and admiration to Rabbi Fine and Imam Mahmoud Hamza. They are both very valued members of our community and serve as a personal source of inspiration for me. So I'm pleased that they were honored this evening. I'd also like to express my gratitude to the mayor, deputy mayor, the council members, and village manager for earmarking funds for the restoration of and enhancement to the train station's pedestrian tunnel. Since my presentation to this body last March, there have been a few new developments, and I will attempt to update everyone today, starting from the top. As we all know, the Ridgewood train station pedestrian tunnel serves as a vital link between the east and west sides of the village of Ridgewood. And as we are all aware, the tunnel is in a state of disrepair. A few years ago, a team of community members gathered to discuss the possibility of painting a mural inside the space. As the months went on, we recognized that there were structural issues that inside the tunnel that required expert evaluation. And thanks to the leadership of then manager Heather Mylander and village engineer Chris Rudeshauser, a historical engineering firm was hired to assess the needs of the tunnel. As we wait for that report, the original team of organizers are proposing a complete renovation, which will include structural enhancements, new lighting, security cameras, and a decorative mosaic to be placed in the tunnel's 5 entryways and in the main tunnel area. We are also proposing a cleanup and painted mural under the train trestle near Garber Square. The renovation will improve safety, lighting, and overall aesthetics, while also significantly increasing foot traffic in the area. Students will benefit from a safe, clean, and attractive route to and from their schools, and the renovation will create a bright and welcoming public art space, enticing visitors and shoppers to explore the area, thus boosting revenues for the Central Business District restaurants and shops. The committee is seeking a collaboration with various stakeholders, including, of course, the Village of Ridgewood, the Village Council, and administration, village committees such as the Central Business District Advisory and the Citizen Safety Advisory, as well as the Ridgewood Public School District, the Ridgewood Chamber of Commerce, the Ridgewood Guild, and the community at large. Their input is valuable and will be it'll be crucial for the success of this project. Also, a robust fundraising effort will begin in the coming weeks, offering opportunities for individuals, families, and businesses to participate through a commemorative component. The committee is also seeking community members to share their design and artistic expertise. And we will be sending notices out via the village website and social media platforms in the coming weeks. So please keep an eye out for all of those. And in the meantime, anyone who is listening, they can contact us via email for more information. And the address is ridgewoodmuralproject@gmail.com. Thank you.
Jeannie, thank you so much, and thank you for your efforts on this. You drove this project, and on behalf of the council and the residents, we all thank you so much. As I always say, many hands make light work, and Jeannie is always pitching in to help wherever she sees the need. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'm going to close public comment, and we'll continue with our agenda. Keith, your manager's report?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to begin tonight by congratulating Sergeant Torino. I've come to know Ray over the past few months, especially in his work with CSAC, working with Councilmember Reynolds on trying to solve traffic issues and safety issues here in the village. He's a very deserving police officer to be promoted to the rank of sergeant, and I want to extend my congratulations to him and his family again. Secondly, I want to thank our Parks Division and our Streets Division. After the storm over the weekend, we had a substantially sized tree in the Saddle River up against the Linwood Avenue Bridge. It was first seen by our village engineer, who jumped on that along with our Parks and Recreation Director, Nancy Bigos, to have our crews remove the tree, and that was successfully accomplished earlier in the week. Signal Division, I want to thank them. For those of you who have seen the municipal fleet circling about in the village, or if you've seen them parked out back here at Village Hall, you can see that all of our vehicles have started to be restriped with the new village branding. I want to thank Dave and Rich down at the Signal Division and Mike Junta from our Streets Division for all their work in initiating that project. I think it's vitally important that when a resident receives a visit from a village employee, that as soon as that car pulls up in front of their home, they know exactly who's there and assumedly why. And I think that's an important service that we can provide our residents, and certainly restriping the fleet will go a long way to accomplishing that. On tonight's agenda, you'll find a resolution authorizing the village to submit an application to the New Jersey Historic Trust Fund. That's for the pedestrian tunnel project that Ms. Johnson just spoke about so eloquently during the public portion. We also have some additional grants on tonight's agenda. We'll be resubmitting for the Municipal Alliance Grant for 2024. We'll be submitting the Recycling Tonnage Grant, and we are looking for authorization to have Parks and Recreation submit a grant application to the Department of Community Affairs for the restoration of Habernickel Playground, which will be ADA compatible, and we will be working to solicit support from folks, some of which were here tonight, from the special needs community supporting that grant application that'll be sent to the state. And finally, under fields, pleased to report that Maple Field will be reopened for play by the end of this week. Vets Field will be opened by the end of next week, weather contingent. I could tell you I walked Vets Field this afternoon. It is still saturated at the south end. In conferring with Nancy Bigos and Matt Andrula, We think it's best to let the field dry out before we go in there and start to do preparations for the spring season. But we are very optimistic that we will meet both deadlines. The turf opening day for practices is circa March 15th, and the natural grass schedule begins on March 25th, and we believe at this point that we will meet both of those deadlines. Just a few announcements. The Health Department, along with Valley Health System, will be hosting the Mediterranean Diet Workshop on Tuesday, March 19th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Ridgewood Library Auditorium. Anyone interested in attending or would like more information can contact the library. Village Hall will be closed on Friday, March 29th, in observance of Good Friday. There will be no garbage or recycling pickup on that day, and the recycling center will be closed. The Ridgewood Chamber of Commerce presents Easter in the Park at Memorial Park at Van Ness Square on Saturday, March 30th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Easter Bunny will be there, and Ben & Jerry's will be sponsoring an egg hunt. If you'd like more information, you can contact the Ridgewood Chamber of Commerce. Online registration for Graydon Pool and the tennis pickleball badges begin on April 1st. You can sign up through Community Pass. Visa and MasterCard are both accepted. Preseason badge distribution or in-person assistance will be available Monday through Friday at the stable from 8:30 to 4:30. In person, the Graydon Badge Office on Saturday, May 11th and May 18th from 10 a.m. to 12 noon at Graydon Pool. Summer Day Camp is being offered again to the children of Ridgewood, entering grades 1 through 6. The 6-week program will be held from Monday, June 24th, through Friday, August 2nd, weekdays only from 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Registration for the summer program begins Monday, April 1st at 8:30 a.m. on Community Pass. This year's registration includes the all-inclusive camp, 3 field trips, and all special events. Registration is first come, first serve until capacity is reached. If you have any questions, medical concerns, or if any special accommodations are needed, please contact the Recreation Office. The Village Shred Day event will take place on Saturday, April 6th from 8 a.m. to 12 noon or until the truck is full. The event will take place at the Graydon Pool parking lot. Limit of 5 boxes or paper bags per vehicle. The event is for confidential documents only. Please stay in your vehicle, no walk-ups allowed, and place items for shredding in the trunk in a paper bag or cardboard box. No plastic bags, please. The Household Hazardous Waste Collection event will be sponsored by the Bergen County Utilities Authority on Sunday, April 7th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Bergen Community College. Accepted waste collection, aerosol cans, antifreeze, batteries, blacktop sealers, any types of paint or varnishes, photographic chemicals. The event is open rain or shine, no commercial vehicles, please. And finally, our upcoming Village Council meetings are March 27th, work session, April 3rd, work session, April 10th, public meeting, April 24th, work session. All meetings start at 7:30 p.m. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thanks, Keith. And then we'll go to our council reports. Siobhan?
Sure. So I just want to begin by saying thank you to this council and Heather, Matt, and Keith for always supporting everything from Access. I know that a lot of our community couldn't be here. They were watching on hybrid, and it's been so great to work with people who, for everything for Access, including police and fire, who the public can't see on the camera here, to have people always come from a place of yes. Yes, we can do it. Yes, we can write that. Yes, we can make it happen. The kids can go first, and that is awesome. Our Access chair, I'm sure she's watching. I want to thank Inez, and it's just so meaningful to work with people who, when you ask for something that, honors such important people, and they just come from a place of yes. So thank you to everybody. Last night we had a meeting for Shade Tree. It was a long meeting. We covered a lot. The big highlight is Adopt a Sapling is happening in the Somerville section. If you live in the Somerville section and you're willing to adopt a sapling, that's my Vanna White. So it's a great program. It's sustainable. We're going to be able to retree Ridgewood a little faster because the cost of a sapling is significantly less than the cost of a tree. We're asking that families take the added step of filling out an adoption form, which basically means you need to water and care for the sapling. And kids will love it. You're provided a watering donut. It's a slow release. It's Ridgewood Water. We'll fill it. And we're hoping everybody takes the time to like that content, promote that content, talk to friends in Somerville, and talk to businesses or churches. We are there are other areas of land other than residents, but we just need the commitment that they're going to care for the sapling and they're going to have it placed. We've also partnered with a local Girl Scout troop. It's going to be their Bronze Award, and they may be even thinking about going door to door. We also had an update on the big tree recommendations, and that will be coming to the council, I think, in April, Keith?
Yes.
The Shade Tree Commission has selected several big trees that we're going to nominate to the NJDEP Forestry Program, and that was great. We're very thankful to Declan Madden and everybody who helped make that happen, Kevin and Tim Graham as well. And then we discussed the event, which I'm sure Pam's going to also discuss at Van Ness, which is Earth Day on April 21st, and we will be giving away shade tree, 350 little saplings. And so part of that is we deal with the shade trees, which is municipally owned, but we also want to inspire people on their private property to plant as well. So there'll be up to 350 saplings given away. I don't know what kind yet. That's always a question that Lorraine asks me, but I will find out. And lastly, I wanted to say that today my daughter is home from school, and we went into town and we did shopping, and town was beginning to buzz. And it was a lovely summer day with outdoor dining included. So I know there's a lot of residents here and watching. I would encourage everybody to go uptown, take out the dust of winter, do some shopping, get a service, and have dinner, because town's looking really good. A lot of the improvements are happening, and again, I'm grateful to this council for allowing outdoor dining to be earlier, and I just encourage everybody to shop, dine, and stroll locally.
Thanks, Siobhan. Evan?
Great, thanks so much, Paul. There are a lot of good nights to be on this dais. Today was really one of them. The proclamations were fantastic. I want to thank my colleague Siobhan for taking a leadership role on so many of these wonderful access projects, allowing all of us to be a part of supporting all these really wonderful causes. Also want to extend my congratulations to now Sergeant Torino. Again, few things I enjoy more as a councilman than being able to stand next to our firefighters and our police as they get sworn in and or promoted. Had the privilege and really the fun of attending the Guild's Oscar party on Friday night. Want to congratulate the Guild on a really wonderful event. It was really well done, really well put together. Got to attend the 4th of July meeting as the council liaison to the 4th of July earlier this week. This year's theme is United We Play. As many of you know, and probably many of you don't know, the 4th of July parade is completely funded through private donations. The village does not spend money on it. We really encourage all of you to think about volunteering, donating, or otherwise getting involved in what I think is one of the most important things that Ridgewood is known for, and really one of the best things that we really put together. Finally, well, actually two things, and I guess they're sort of related. I do just want to congratulate Rabbi Fine and Iman Hamza. I can only say that I wish more of our leaders and more of us took their lead in terms of how to treat each other with respect and kindness. I know both of them very, very well, and I'm a better person for having known both of them. On that regard, also want to wish all my Muslim friends and neighbors a Ramadan Mubarak. Really hope for a wonderful season. I know I'll be attending the iftar dinner that Mahmoud Hamza puts on next weekend. While I am very much looking forward to the food, I'm looking forward to the fellowship even more.
Thanks, Ev. Lorraine?
Thank you. Switch glasses. So I also want to thank Sergeant Torino. It was a well-deserved promotion. I've worked with him on and off for the last few years at the CSAC committee, and he's always extremely responsive. He's respectful of the residents, and he goes above and beyond in trying to solve problems there. So well-deserved, and congratulations. Before I was here, I went to the Cash Shell Memorial Committee and committee meeting, and this year I have already said this, but I'll repeat it again. Instead of Tuesdays and Thursdays, they are going to have the music at the Cash Shell just on Thursdays. It's going to start June 6th and run all the way through September 5th. Did I say Thursdays or Tuesday? Okay. So, so the last one is going to be September 5th, and it will be the Nerds. They are also this year collecting donations. If you'd like to donate, no donation is too small, $10, $20, whatever. You can go to cashowmemorialshell.com and contribute. It would be much appreciated. It allows them to get not only the neighborhood bands, but, you know, bands like the Nerds and the Grateful Dead and this Bruce Springsteen bands. Let's see, what else? Next CSAC meeting is a week from tomorrow, which is March 21st at 7:30 in the Garden Room. If anybody has any issues with safety, if they want to come, we always have time for public comment, or just sit in on the meeting. All are welcome. Project Pride is about to gear up. Spring is coming, and we're talking about planting season. The planting in the downtown, I think, is going to be Sunday, May 19th. I just have to confirm that with some people. But if you are interested in gardening, even if you're not, and you like to help and meet people, meet fellow residents, you can email me at lreynolds@ridgewoodnj.net and let me know you want to help. And then when we pick the date, I can let you know time and place to help out. And that's about it. Thanks.
Thanks, Lorraine. Pam?
Thank you. I also want to congratulate Sergeant Torino. I did have the opportunity to work with him recently, and indeed, he is a problem solver. I had thought that we needed another handicap parking spot in the Prospect lot, and I thought it should go over here, and he came up with a much better solution. It should go over there. And so he is indeed a creative person, and I appreciate that. The Green Ridgewood Committee met last week, and most of our time was spent preparing for the Daffodil Festival and Earth Day Fair on April 21st at 11 o'clock to 2:30. We are going to have all kinds of fun things going on. Goat yoga, the Blue Plate Special Band will be playing. We'll have the Daffy Dog Parade. And we will also be having, I think this is the first time, a student art contest. And students can submit their artwork to the library, and it will be displayed that day. And there will be a contest with first, second, and third prizes. Let's see. I also went to the Northwest Bergen County Council members meeting on Saturday, and we had a speaker who addressed affordable housing. And the takeaway from the meeting was municipalities should be planning now. Let's start getting ready. We also talked about the Oprah reform measures that are in the legislature now, and problems with deer. All the towns around here have problems with deer. Let's see. Oh, and deer can be aggressive. Please don't feed them. And if you have a bird feeder, deer will eat bird feed. So your bird feeder should be at least 6 to 8 feet off the ground with a baffle underneath to catch the seed that the birds kick out. You also want to be careful because those bird feeders can attract rats. So I did want to bring that to people's attention. The SID Steering Committee for the Special Improvement District is continuing to meet every other week. We had a very productive meeting on Tuesday. We came up with a mission statement and prioritized the work of a SID if we did create one. And next we will tackle the boundaries of an improvement district and the costs and the budget. The Central Business District Advisory Committee meets tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. in the Senior Lounge here in Village Hall. We will be discussing the draft exclusionary zoning ordinance, a prospectus for the downtown that one of our members came up with, and also what the group's 2024 priorities will be. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Pam. I just want to say that this is one of the good days to be a member of the Village Council. We recognize the issues of autism and Down syndrome. We recognize the courage and leadership of Imam Hamza and Rabbi Fine. We recognize a police officer who's been promoted to sergeant who will be teaching all the young recruits that we are bringing on how to be a great police officer. It is Ramadan, and as Evan said, Ramadan Mubarak to all of our Muslim brothers and sisters. I will say I am so proud to be a member of this council, where each council member has taken on initiatives that are their own. Siobhan, in addition to caring for our parks, is always looking out for issues regarding access and other innovations. Evan is, and I say this with admiration, our budget hawk. And so, by the way, when our budget's introduced tonight, Evan had a hand in that. Lorraine is, and I've said this before, she is consumed, and I say this with again admiration, with safety and sidewalks. It is not something that's has an interest for her. It's a mission for her, and shockingly, despite the fact that I'm deeply involved in the Central Business District, Pam has become the Central Business District go-to person, which I'm really, really impressed with. So, like I said, it is a good day to be a member of this council. And with that, I'm going to turn everything over to our village manager, Keith Kasmark, who will give us a budget presentation on a budget that I think we are all very, very proud of.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening again, everyone. First, I want to thank our department directors and our supervisors and our management employees for embarking on the creation of the 2024 budget all the way back in September of 2023. I want to thank Bob Bruni, our Chief Financial Officer, who kicked off this process right after the Labor Day holiday last year. And I especially want to thank Heather Maylander, who has shepherded more budgets than I can probably count here in the village of Ridgewood, and was a great sounding board as I had the challenge of working with all of our directors to put this spending plan together for 2024. We have come through 5 intensive budget hearings before the Village Council, where all of the staff was asked difficult and challenging questions that caused all of us as government leaders to go back and reconsider some of our priorities in order to make sure that the taxpayer, which has been a priority of this council since the onset of this budget process, were first and foremost in everyone's minds as we considered what would be in tonight's presentation. So with that, we're going to start off with some accomplishments. In 2023, the Village of Ridgewood had many promising accomplishments, starting with the reaffirmation of our AAA bond rating by Standard & Poor's. That's a testament to good financial management, not just now in this current snapshot of time, but in the last decade and a half prior to this year's budget. I also want to mention that the Village has been able to maintain a tax collection rate of 99.8% without having done the comparison to other municipalities in the county. I would have to say that we have to be in the top 3 or 4 on the tax collection rate here in the village. The Village Council restored hybrid access for public participation at Village Council meetings. We restructured in the manager's office to create a Director of Communications and Special Projects position with a focus on making sure that village residents know what is happening here in the village and enabling them to have a voice on important issues that come before the manager's office and the Village Council. Through the efforts of our Communications Committee and Councilmember Winograd, we were able to design and launch the new village website. I want to thank Dylan Hansen and his team in the IT office for taking a 9-month project and cramming it into 3 months so that we could launch it on January 1st. And we continue each and every day to make improvements to the new village website to provide easy access for information to village residents. I also want to acknowledge, as I mentioned earlier, the newly designed village logo and branding for the village, which we've been launching since the first of the year. Obviously, it's prominently displayed on this presentation tonight, but as I mentioned earlier, we are rebranding all the village vehicles, letterhead, business cards, all the promotional materials that go out throughout the year will include this new village logo, which I have to tell you, to Siobhan and the committee, I just want to commend them for putting that together so that the Village of Ridgewood truly has a new identity moving forward. We submitted the application to the State Historic Preservation Office for the Shedler Park Development Project. Right now, we are waiting the 45 days for SHPO to review that application. And then following that review and any comments back to the village, they will have 75 days to schedule a hearing before the Historic Sites Council. We established Juneteenth as a village holiday here in Ridgewood. We adopted an anti-nepotism ordinance and an alternate route hiring process for police officers upon the recommendation of Chief Forrest Lyons. We earned recertification as a bronze level member of Sustainable New Jersey. And we updated and revised our employee evaluation process, which will now include an annual review for all employees. We retain the services of Millennium Strategies for grant writing here in the village, maintained funding through 2 health department grants totaling over $500,000, which also provide for a social worker and outreach coordinators in our health department. We engaged Intervention Strategies as the new village employee assistance provider, implemented a program to comply with New Jersey's new lead paint law. I want to thank Dawn in the health department and Tony in the building department for working through that. That was not the easiest bureaucratic process that we've been through. We entered into shared services agreements for the health officer position with MAWA and with 5 other municipalities for the styrofoam condenser services down at the recycling center. We resurfaced more than 32 miles of roads in 2023 and added bump outs at West Glen Avenue and Heights Road. And I want to thank Chris Rudishauser and our engineering department for all the work that they're doing when it comes to road improvements here in the village. We made necessary structural repairs to the 3rd floor roof here at Village Hall, took delivery of new sanitation and recycling trucks, planted 120 new trees in residential neighborhoods and 37 new trees in the commercial business district. We also launched the Adopt a Sapling program through the Shade Tree Commission. The Parks and Recreation Department was the winner of the Daniel M. Gasselberti Excellence in Recreation Programming Award for the annual Giving Thanks Ridgewood Elder Dinner. I want to again congratulate Director Bigos and her staff for an outstanding job with that event. We were able to raise the barn at Habernickel Park after recommendations from various department heads, supported the Veterans Banner Program in the Commercial Business District, and approved the design of the Gold Star Family Memorial. We brought back dining corrals and hosted live music, events, and culturally themed weekends promoted through Destination Ridgewood. And we returned the kissing balls to the Commercial Business District during the holiday season. In the area of flood mitigation, the flood impacts and the action plan that we've put together, we have sustained 3 floods in September, December, and January. Since then, we've engaged the United States Army Corps of Engineers to begin a study to make regional recommendations for flood mitigation in Ridgewood, both along the Hohokus Brook and the Saddle River. We launched a residential flood portal for residents to submit photos and descriptions of past flood events for review by the United States Army Corps of Engineers and the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. We've removed down trees and debris from the Hohokus Brook and from the Saddle River. We held village manager visits to resident homes to assess flood impacts. We've promoted the NJDEP Blue Acres program for residential flood buyout opportunities. We've maintained the village's community rating system of 6, providing property owners with a 20% discount on flood insurance premiums. And again, I want to thank Chris and his staff in engineering for continuing to maintain that program, which directly benefits those insurance carriers' wallets here in the village. And we continued the restoration of Maple Field to playable condition. As we turn to 2024 and we look at the goals and objectives across our departments, it is always a priority to seek alternate sources of revenue raised by the village to reduce the burden on taxpayers. That includes grants, shared services agreements, and other revenue-generating opportunities. We are aggressively pursuing federal and state appropriations to offset the cost of the Ridgewood Water PFAS treatment projects, which we'll talk a little bit more about later in the presentation. We are obtaining grant funds for major and operational projects and initiatives such as road resurfacing, train station pedestrian tunnel project, the Habernickel Playground, Veterans Field lighting, tree planting, and wastewater improvements. We plan to implement the employee evaluation process again, so every employee is evaluated annually starting in 2024. We'll undergo bridge repairs to the Kingsbridge Lane pedestrian bridge, add sidewalks to West Glen Avenue, East Glen Avenue, and Clinton Avenue. Work with the owner of the Warner Theater to ensure a similar use that benefits village residents, especially our children and the downtown area. Generate concept plans for the train station pedestrian tunnel. Implement the collection of outstanding municipal court fees by a third-party agency to try to recoup unpaid fines. Provide CPR training to village employees, launch the use of the Master Library Program by Parks and Recreation, renovate the bus station downtown, expand programs for the disabled for all our residents at the community center, build a shelter and restroom facility at Habernickel Park, pursue upgraded lighting at Veterans Field, finalize recommendations and next steps regarding the formation of a special improvement district, reestablish our sanitation and recycling vehicle fleet to full capacity, achieve state accreditation of the Ridgewood Police Department through the New Jersey Police Chiefs Accreditation Program. Did I? There we go. And that concludes some of our goals for 2024.
Nicely done.
With that, we're going to move to the current fund budget, some budget highlights. In this budget, we will be able to fill 4 vacant new police officer positions. We have already moved and sworn in 2 new firefighters also to backfill vacant positions. The only new positions in the 2024 spending plan will be 2 part-time positions, which will actually replace a full-time job that we eliminated through attrition. One in the recreation department to implement master library, and one in the building department to assist with inspections. This budget includes 2 sanitation truck leases, which were well vetted and talked about during the budget process. Consolidated EMS services to OEM and the fire department. Funds a grant writer to pursue funding across departments. And in this past 2023 tax year, the village gained $17 million in new ratables through assessments that were taken into account as we formulated this year's budget. With that, we'll move to some of the 2024 budget impacts, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Rooney for this portion of the presentation.
Thank you, Keith. The cost of doing some of the services and hiring the people that we just talked about are identified on the next slide. The sanitation vehicle lease required an increase of $165,000. We'll be implementing a time and attendance system for about $25,000 to better capture the time that we put through for different projects, especially if it's related to any type of storms or FEMA support. And that'll be a great opportunity for the village. In addition to that, we're going to employ a grant writer, and already the grant writer has solicited many requests to different departments. So we have many in process, and again, it's going to be a good reward for the village. We also have a provision of $20,000 for a SID consultant for the Central Business District. That individual will help guide the employees or the store owners at the Central Business District through SID operation, which is something very unique to municipalities, but well received in many cases. The two new employees, part-time employees, will cost estimated $65,000. The vacant officer positions, $140,000. We'll utilize the vehicle lease process to balance our vehicle needs and reduce our capital requests, and we'll be budgeting $55,000 for police licensing and accreditation. We have contractual commitments with our unions. The impact for the 24 will be police department of $154,000 at a 2.75 increase, fire $135,000 at 2.75, blue collar $103,000, 2%, white collar 2% and $48,000 impact, and supervisors $17,000 at 2.5% impact. Our net debt service increase will be $1.6 million, which will be for the cost to finance our capital programs. Health benefits increase this year of $668,000, which is roughly 7.4% over last year. And last year we saw a 24% increase, so this is very slight
I'm sorry
compared
to
to that.
interrupt, Bob, but who's doing the slide? Is there
Me.
somebody?
Sorry.
Okay.
The problem is I can't see that, so I have to look up there.
Because it's hard, so the public is
Sure.
seeing the slide, and they should be seeing the slide as we're talking about it. Thank you.
Pension and cost increase, $279,000. Summer recreation program personnel increases $104,000. Land disposal costs increase $79,500, and Social Security increases of $151,000. Our total current fund appropriations, $61,231,433. Our reserve fund collected taxes, which is included in that number, of $1.2 million, and has been stable since I've been here, which is a great achievement, and that's a result of our high tax collection. Debt service is $7.6 million, salaries $25 million. To balance those costs and the tax rate, our budget revenues anticipated is $18.7 million, and the amount to be raised by taxation is $39,658,266. This slide shows our current fund surplus balance. As you can see, it starts to move up gradually every year, which is well served to help us stabilize any tax increases that we may have and to utilize the appropriations that we anticipate in our current fund budgets.
And I just want to point out for the public, in the last 10 years, the surplus has been increased from 4.8 to 7.8. That's a significant step in the right direction over a decade in time.
And that's one of those things that, unless you're really kind of a budget nerd, you can't appreciate, because that increases the cushion we have to ensure that we can meet our obligations at the end of the year. And one easy shortcut to make a budget is to cut that and to take more risk. And we didn't do that this year, so thank you, Keith.
Absolutely. So moving on, we're going to pivot to some discussion about Ridgewood Water. Some of the accomplishments in the water department. Ridgewood Water completed the rehab or replacement of 2.3 miles, or approximately 12,000 linear feet of distribution water main. All 4 service area towns successfully adopted a 2-day watering conservation ordinance, which, believe it or not, was no easy task, right, Rich? But all towns are now in compliance with that ordinance. Initiated expanded stakeholder communication, including 4-town weekly update, to improve better communication with all of the ratepayers in the service area. Outfitted Ridgewood Water's laboratory with HVAC upgrades, an acid storage cabinet, a VOC fume hood, equipment table, and have a CGMS on order awaiting delivery and installation at the Ridgewood Water site. Completed the rehab or replacement of 1.5, or approximately 7,900 linear feet of distribution water main. Launched the emergency routine construction map and construction activity page. Complete lab certification for GCNMS. Increased water conservation campaign and outreach. Now we move to the PFAS treatment and operations accomplishments. successfully executed an administrative consent order with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection in May of 2023 for our PFAS treatment master plan. Received permanent permit approval for Twinney PFAS treatment facility. Broke ground on 2 additional treatment facilities, Ravine and Prospect. PFAS operational strategy remains in effect. Our goals moving forward: complete construction of the Ravine facility, break ground on remaining PFAS treatment facilities, break ground on raw water mains to connect satellite wells to the facilities. In the area of lead service line replacements, accomplishments, replaced 152 main to curb lead service lines as of November 1st of 23. Achieved substantial agreement from the representatives of all 4 towns on the plan to complete the lead service line identification and replacement program. Interviewed and contracted the lead service line replacement program planning consultant. And our goals moving forward include completing another 150 main to curb service replacements, identifying remaining unknowns through hydro excavation, in-home inspections, or customer surveys, achieve final approval on ordinances and shared services agreements with all 4 towns, complete the design of a comprehensive lead service line replacement plan and website landing page. Bob, if you want to review the summary of Ridgewood Water finances.
Sure. The total current appropriations for the current year is $23,375,000. Included in that number is debt service of $4.6 million, salaries of $4.8 million. This is offset by budget revenue of $19 million and utilizing a surplus of $4.2 million.
Any questions on Ridgewood Water? Okay.
All good.
We'll pivot to the parking utility for 2024.
The parking utility budget current appropriations is $2.7 million. Included in that number is $780,000 for debt service, salaries of $648,620. This is offset by budget revenue of $2.3 million and the utilization of surplus of $400,000.
Okay. In reviewing the budget, and Bob and I have been having these conversations since the fall, we've come up with some recommendations that we would like the council to consider for future planning. One, obviously this year we plan to enhance the ambulance service billing through the new vendor. That contract was awarded. Actually, I think it'll be awarded tonight. The bids were taken, and we do have significant capacity to increase revenue in that space. Increase charges for outside police department services to be more competitive with other enforcement agencies. We're in conversation right now with Chief Lyons about putting that language together. We'll be working with Matt Rogers in the coming weeks and presenting some ordinance language to the council shortly. We want to develop new shared service opportunities with surrounding communities to increase revenue. Right now, we've opened up dialogue with 2 neighboring communities to utilize our leaf composting facility for them to deposit their leaves in the fall, and those conversations will continue between those respective public works departments and Chris Rudishauser in our engineering division. We're looking to develop a plan to enhance communications with surrounding municipalities into a radio communication system that is currently being developed. At many of the past budget meetings, I've talked about 2 areas that we are going to have to focus on in our capital budget, which we'll get to shortly in the coming years. One of those areas is emergency communications, and we'll be meeting with Chief Judge, Chief Lyons, and Director Kleiman to talk about what those long-term radio communications entail. The second item that we need to spend some time on are improvements to our wastewater control facility, and we'll be meeting with Chris to develop a plan of action to invest in the infrastructure at that site as well. We're looking to begin to budget for certain capital budget expenditures such as police vehicles. It's my philosophy and my belief that police vehicles should be budgeted for and not bonded or borrowed for. And this year we started that pivot point. There's a few dollars in capital, there's a few dollars in operating, and I'm hopeful that in 2025 we'll be able to move all of the rotation of police vehicles over to the operating budget. And we're further looking to pursue sinking funds in the capital budget for more costly investments and equipment, which we'll expand upon a little bit more when we get to the capital budget this evening. So, how does that all wrap up and affect this year's budget? So Bob is going to review the local municipal tax rate in this next slide.
Our 2024 budget is approximately $1.2 million under our tax levy cap and $798,000 under our appropriation cap. As you recall, many years ago, 2.5% increase was allowable according to law with various deductions to it. We have been able to bank successfully money to use for tax levy purposes or for appropriations should the need arise. So there are many municipalities that operate with nothing in the bank, and so they're restricted on any type of increases in appropriation or tax levy as needed.
And Bob, if I may, on that point, what that first bullet on this slide indicates in layman's terms is we had the capacity to go higher with this budget, but in deference to the taxpayer, we chose not to. And we scaled back through the efforts of the department heads. When we started this budget and we had all the initial requests, as was on the spreadsheet at the last budget meeting, we were at a 12.8% increase to the tax levy. And through the efforts of this council during the budget hearings and Bob and I being able to go back and meet with the directors to trim out, what needs were versus what wants were, and to just make sure that we were keeping the taxpayer in mind, especially in light of last year. We had capacity to go higher, but we landed at 2.74 because that was a reasonable impact on the taxpayer, yet at the same time allowed us to continue to not cut services and continue the operations here in the village. So, Bob, if you'll continue.
Sure. So the assessed values for 2024 are higher than they were in 2023, which is always a great direction to go. Our municipal taxes are projected to be at 0.6678. The tax rate for 2023 was 0.6509. There will be no cuts in service to the residents of Ridgewood, which is always a concern when we start looking at the budget every year. The adjustment this year is equal to 0.0169 increase per 100 of assessed value over the 2023 rate. So the 24 average home in the village is valued at $710,168, which is up from $707,500 in 2023. The municipal taxes on that home in 2023 was $4,605, and 2024 is estimated to be $4,751, which is an increase of $146 on the average home, or $12.17 per month. This results in a municipal increase of 2.74, which is less than the rate of inflation today.
So as we pivot to just looking at a tax bill that is just in the neighborhood of the average assessed home, if you look on the left-hand side of the slide, you have the county tax, the county open space tax, the school tax, the library tax, which is statutory based on the formula that's provided by the state of New Jersey, the local municipal tax, which is the line item we're discussing tonight, and the municipal open space tax. So on an average home such as this, as the example of this tax bill, we would be looking at a $146 increase, which again, as Bob mentioned, results out to about $12.17 per month for what the village can control. Move to the next slide. This is the apportionment between those government agencies or funds that were outlined on the prior slide, and the municipal portion is 23.3% in 2024. The municipal open space tax is less than 1%. The library is 1.6%. The county is 10.7%. The county open space tax is 0.45%. And the schools, which is the lion's share of the money that we collect in taxation, is 63.6% of the total taxes collected for 2024. Any questions on the operating budget?
Questions?
Okay, we're going to move to capital. And I just want to say, again, more for the public's edification, obviously for capital budget items, we would be borrowing and paying those debts off long-term. However, we do need to incorporate a 5% of the total cost of the capital budgets in the operating budget. So that is the connection between the capital budget and the operating budget. That 5% is accounted for in what's being presented in these next few slides.
So the total general capital budget, which you'll be voting on for introduction tonight, is approximately $7.8 million. It includes $2 million for road paving, $950,000 for West Glen and East Glen sidewalks, $515,000 for Kingsbridge restoration, fire department gear, air packs and equipment, $115,000, $250,000 to begin our sinking fund for the purchase of a new fire engine, police department vehicles and radios, $186,000, OEM equipment, facility upgrades and radios, $240,000, Northwest Central Dispatch, $50,000, sanitation and recycling trucks and equipment, $905,000, Parks and Recreation projects and equipment, $1.2 million. Again, contributing to the sinking fund for Maple Field, $50,000. Shade tree plantings, $390,000. Library generator project, $65,000. And Public Works equipment and upgrades, $850,000. Slide, which is not, I did not make into the final here, is for water distribution system improvements, which you'll also be considering tonight, is roughly $4 million.
So if I may, on the general capital, and we talked about this again at budget meetings, but just for the public who's tuning in tonight, while our number is approximately 7.8 million, and our target number is 7.5 million, we fully anticipate that at least one, if not more, of these projects that are incorporated in the capital budget tonight will be offset by grants, private donations, or other sources of funding. Specifically, Vets Field lighting, we are going to apply for a Bergen County Open Space Trust Fund grant. The high-level award is normally around $200. If you go by last year's grant awards, $200,000. If you go by last year's grant awards throughout the county, we also have the opportunity to pursue incentive programs through PSE&G on the retrofitting of the field lighting, and also we have some indication that some of the sports groups here in the village would be interested in contributing to that project. So while it is $7.8 million on paper, the reality when it comes to debt service, we think will be far greater than that number and likely be below the 7.5, which is our target number in capital on an annual basis. Bob, if you want to just review the debt service.
Sure. So the gross debt, which on the next slide is broken down into general, water, and parking. General has bonds and notes of $59.6 million and authorized non-issued of $12.9 million. So the ordinance that you're going to approve tonight will increase the bonds and notes authorized and not issued. As we move through these projects, we issue short-term debt to help finance, and again, depending on the rates that are the market rates, we try to time it so that we get the best interest rates possible. And then after 2 or 3 years of maintaining those short-term notes, we roll it into serial bonds. What do you see? $59.5 million of bonds and notes, $77 million of authorized and unissued. The big impact there is the PFAS ordinances that were introduced. Parking is $11.4 million of bonds and notes and $2.8 million authorized and unissued. Keith?
Okay. We do have various department heads here, so if there are any questions from the council before we move to the summation and what comes next here.
Questions, comments?
I would just note for the people at home, I think you said it was 5 hearings. Most of those hearings were multiple hours, so the lack of questions by this council is not a lack of inquisitiveness. It's a sign of preparation. The budget hearings were incredibly well put together. lots of questions, lots of back and forth. I feel very comfortable in what's been presented, but I don't want anyone at home to believe that we're on autopilot here. There was well over 20, 25 hours worth of questionings back and forth that has led to the presentation already tonight.
Very good.
Siobhan?
Bob, thank you so much. I want to thank all the department heads and everybody who answered my personal endless amount of questions. In addition to the hearings, we had the opportunity to ask Bob questions via email, to Keith, to Heather, for answering all of them. You know, this budget's probably the most important thing we do as council. You know, there's lots of stuff that we do up here, some ceremonial, but this is incredibly important. I'm incredibly proud of it. I want to say thank you to my council members as well. We all sort of meet up in pairs of two to work on things, and I'm very happy with all of it, and it's so much better than last year. I'm so grateful we were not in the position that we were last year, and it's awesome. So thank you very much to everybody. I think this is going to make the public very happy, and I know it makes all of us very proud.
Lorraine?
Thank you, that's all.
Pam?
When we get to talking about some of the bonds that we're going to vote on tonight, you really see the muscle. You really see what the village is doing, and I find it very exciting.
The one thing I will say about the capital budget is, having met with each of you when I arrived here in the summer, and then having met with each of the department heads and trying to prioritize everybody's priorities, I think that we were able to put into this proposed capital budget almost every need that was asked for. Now, granted, you know, department heads have long lists, and there needs to be a red line somewhere, you know, on that list. So I'm not going to say everyone got what they wanted, but there were certainly fruitful discussions about what could be put off till next year. And I think Bob and I already have a handle on sort of what our priorities are going to look like in 2025 as far as capital, so that we can start to have those conversations later this year with the members of the council through the department heads. But I really do believe, and Bob and I have talked about this more times than I can count, that everybody's top shelf items that were priorities for the capital budget are in this budget.
And I just have to comment on this. This is, I've been involved in budgeting for 4 decades. And this is about as responsible a budget as I've ever seen. And the things that we can point to that are being done, the sinking funds that we know are absolutely necessary for big ticket items like fire trucks and turf replacement, the 5-year planning in capital budgets that we weren't doing before, because we know it's not just about this year, it's about next year and the year after and years after that. And yet, the increase in reserves, I'm going to say that again because I like the way it sounds, an increase in reserves. And with all of that, maintaining our AAA bond rating, which sounds like everybody's got that, but they don't. And we do, and that saves our taxpayers a tremendous amount of money. All this with a 2.74% tax increase that is well below the rate of inflation, as we all know. And it ended up with many new projects being done. I'm kind of, did you really do this? Because now I'm starting to worry, because you did so much here, including paving and sidewalks, putting police vehicles in operating budgets so that we're not borrowing money to pay for our cars, to make them more expensive, new and better lighting that's going to be better for the residents surrounding Veterans Field. All of this with an average tax increase, an annual average tax increase of $146 per household. I take my hat off to staff. I take my hat off to this council that drove these numbers. I know that there were conversations that many of us had with senior staff saying, you got to bring this budget in, and the first number better start with a 2. And you did. And we know that there's a wish list that goes on forever from department heads, but here's the thing, it didn't happen this year, some things, but it's in that 5-year plan. So I have to say, this was a really pivotal year. I am proud to sign my name on this budget. I am so impressed with the work that all senior staff, all department heads did on this. I can't even begin to tell you. Really, so greatly appreciate it.
So, Mayor, just closing, I'll end where I began, and that is, I just want to thank the team that we have in place here. I'm blessed every day to come in and work with the employees that I work with. We have a great team of directors and supervisors and employees throughout the village. They care about this place, and that doesn't happen everywhere. And it was truly a team effort to bring this spending plan before you tonight. With that, just so we can set expectations moving forward, we are in the process of producing a mailing that will summarize a lot of what you saw tonight and will be sent out to all the residential homes prior to the public hearing and final adoption, which will be considered in April. We are also going to be launching a social media campaign to educate the public about some of the highlights and impacts of this 2024 budget. And Carol and I have already started to outline how we're going to do that between now and April 10th. But the final hearing, the public hearing and final adoption of this budget will be at the April 10th council meeting at 7:30 p.m. So we encourage any member of the public to come, give their opinion, their concerns, their thoughts on this spending plan before the council considers it for final adoption.
Thank you, Keith. Shall we continue with our agenda? Yep, good. I move the first reading of ordinance 3993.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3993 by title?
Calendar year 2024 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 48:4-45.14.
I move that ordinance 3993 be adopted on first reading and that April 10th, 2024 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
The following resolutions, number 2477 through 2479, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the village council. They will be read by title only. Approve temporary water utility capital budget. Approve temporary general capital budget. Increase deferred school taxes. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
The following resolution, number 24-80, will be considered separately and read in full. Municipal budget notice of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, for calendar year 2024. Be it resolved that the following statements or revenues and appropriations shall constitute the municipal budget for the year 2024. Be it further resolved that the said budget be published in the Ridgewood News in the issue of March 29th, 2024, with a public hearing to be held on April 10th, 2024. And be it finally resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby approve the following as the budget for the year 2024. General appropriations, appropriations within the caps, $47,906,725. Appropriations excluded from caps, $12,148,708. Reserved for uncollected taxes, $1,230,000. Total general appropriations, $61,285,433. Less anticipated revenues other than current property tax, $18,783,707. Difference amounts to be raised by taxes for support of budget, $42,501,726. That's it. May I have a motion?
So moved.
A second? Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 3994.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3994 by title?
A bond ordinance providing for distribution system repairs and replacements for the water utility in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $4,056,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $3,853,200 bonds or notes of the village to finance part of the cost thereof.
I move that ordinance 3994 be adopted on first reading and that April 10th, 2024 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 3995.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3995 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 145 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood fees.
I move that ordinance 3995 be adopted on first reading and that April 10th, 2024 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
There is no public hearings. Resolutions for Ridgewood Water. The following resolutions, number 24-81 through 24-91, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the Village Council. They will be read by title only. Award sole supplier contract 2024 exchange of granular activated carbon media at car and 20 treatment facilities. Award sole source contract furnace corrosion inhibitor. Title 59 approval, line stop and valve insertion services. Award contract, line stop and valve insertion services. Award contract, construction of Ames PFAS treatment facility. Award contract, raw water mains, Phase 1, Contract 2. Future connection to Wharton Dyke Treatment Facility and Cedar Hill Treatment Facility. Award professional services contract, professional engineering services for construction administration and inspection phase, East Ridgewood and West End facilities. Award additional funding, pipes, appurtenances, and service materials. Award additional funding, SCADA support and training. Authorize lease of property from Village of Ridgewood to Ridgewood Water, Maple Park, and Graydon Park. Refund overpayment of water bill 1 Durar Avenue. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 3996.
Second.
Perrin,
Sorry. Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3996 by title?
A bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $4,040,690 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $3,838,655 bonds or notes of the village to finance part of the cost thereof.
I move that ordinance 3996 be adopted on first reading and that April 10th, 2024 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
This is the one that I find so exciting. This is the bond ordinance where we would be paying for the Clinton Avenue sidewalks, generator hookup for the library, lighting at Vets Field, a shelter at Habernickel. I definitely vote yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
I share my colleagues' enthusiasm for this bond ordinance. Fantastic job. Yes.
Winograd
Yes.
and Vagianos.
That was the budget nerd who was enthusiastic, by the way.
That was.
And I also vote yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 3997.
You have a second?
Oh, a second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes, so ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3997 by title?
An ordinance of the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, providing for the special assessment of all or a portion of the cost relating to lead service line replacement.
I move that ordinance 3997 be adopted on first reading and that April 10th, 2024 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
There are no public hearings, resolutions. The following resolutions, numbered 24-92 through 24-111, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the Village Council. They will be read by title only. Award emergency contract, repair of boiler at Streets Division, materials and supplies. Award contract, disposal of ground, yard waste, and grass clippings. Title 59 approval, billing of basic life support services provided by the Village of Ridgewood. Award contract, billing of basic life support services provided by the Village of Ridgewood. Award contract under state contract, 2 tri-band portable radios, Ridgewood Office of Emergency Management. Award contract under state contract, firefighter turnout gear. Award contract under Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program, recycling truck. Award contract under Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program, 2 Polaris utility terrain vehicles, Ridgewood Office of Emergency Management. Award contract, revised funding, employee assistance program. Authorized 2023 budget reserve transfers. Authorized release of performance bond, Shell Gas Station and Dunkin' Donuts, 657 East Franklin Turnpike. Refund tax overpayment, 420 Colonial Road. Authorized application to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs Local Recreational Improvement Grant, new playground at Habernickel Park. Authorize application for and accept grant funding from Bergen County Municipal Alliance Grant. Endorse Bergen County Community Development Grant, Family Promise of Bergen County, ending the cycle of homelessness with wraparound services. Endorse submission of recycling tonnage grant. Declare property surplus, various departments. Declare property surplus, fire department. Appoint member to Historic Preservation Commission, and award professional services contract, grant writing services, preparation and submittal of 2024 Preserve New Jersey Historic Preservation Trust Fund Grant, Ridgewood Train Station pedestrian tunnel accesses, and pedestrian tunnel restoration. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. And with that, that completes our agenda. We will now go to comments from the public. Seeing none in the room, we will go to our hybrid access. We have one at the moment. Mr. Hallaby.
Good evening, Rorik Halaby, 1 Franklin Avenue. My wife and I have lived in Ridgewood for 54 years, and I must admit, I don't think I have been as happy living in Ridgewood as I have in the last couple of years, as far as the way the government operates. And tonight's meeting was just terrific. I really need to congratulate you on your accomplishments for 2023. I like the way they were listed. And also, as far as your goals for 2024, I know, Keith, you're under-promising and you will over-deliver, as they say. I feel very, very good. I really feel very, very good. I also feel very good about the budget because finally, we have a lot of talent in the village, including my friend Bob Rooney. But the presentation this evening was made extremely understandable. I mean, municipal budgets are like reading Chinese literature or something. I mean, it just, they're so difficult to understand. And you've done a very, very good job at presenting and to explaining what's happening. I really congratulations on that. And lastly, I'd like to make a comment about Sergeant Torino. I became acquainted with him in a couple of the CSAC meetings I went to. and I'm very impressed by him. Apart from being smart and articulate, he cares. He shows respect to people. When people ask dumb questions, he's not condescending. He bends over backwards to explain things, and with patience. And I think I'm very, very pleased to see him promoted to sergeant. So anyway, I'm very happy this evening, and as Cynthia was sitting next to me, and so keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Rurik. Susan, you're up.
Nice.
Susan? I know you're there. I heard you.
Oh, hi.
There you
Hi,
go.
Hi, Susan Moran, 705 Kingsbridge Lane. Thank you. I want to thank you guys for doing this presentation tonight. I didn't see on the agenda the footbridge, but I just want to make sure that it's there. Also, I just want to see if, I know I'm going to mispronounce his name, Representative Josh Guggenheim signed off on looking at residential flooding for the village of Ridgewood, because I think that's important, especially after the recent storms and stuff. And also if there's any cooperation with other towns to clean up the various road waterways. Because I mean, you know, it doesn't make sense for Ridgewood to clean up all its places if Hohokus does it, because Hohokus feeds into Ridgewood. So I just want to make sure that is an ongoing discussion with other towns. But thank you again for all your work. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Susan, and I believe you were referring to Congressman Josh Gottheimer. And that's all we have right now, so I'm going to close public comment. Does anybody have any final comments for the evening?
Mayor, very quickly, as I mentioned at prior meetings, we have been in touch with Congressman Gottheimer. He actually was the individual who helped us connect with the Army Corps of Engineers initially, and the Kingsbridge Lane pedestrian bridge. Susan will have the PowerPoint presentation tonight up on the website tomorrow morning. If you reference slide 31, you'll see Kingsbridge Lane Bridge listed in the capital budget.
I too just wanted to say to Suzanne that we moved the bridge up, so it's moving faster than the budget because we introduced it earlier because we knew that the pedestrians needed to travel, so it's ahead. And you shouldn't feel like, you can reach out to us, we can send you copies of our votes, but that project is definitely moving forward and fully funded in tonight's budget.
Anyone else? And with that, we'll have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.